My name's Daly, and I'm in recovery. I have almost 2 years clean. My childhood was very abusive. My mom was a very abusive person. I remember getting beat up every day by my mom when I got home from school, so I would start drinking at 11 years old. I was in high school at this time, and of course I'm dabbling with all new kinds of stuff, peanut butter crank and all kinds of drugs that were out there, and started doing meth. I have a son, and they're 11 months apart now, and so for the first 4.5 months of my son's life, I was using drugs, which destroyed me because I never ever wanted to I always wanted to give my kids a good chance at life. So I felt like the worst mom in the world, you know, because I didn't know that I was pregnant. So I fought for 1.5 years to get my boys back, and I got my boys back. And I was doing it on my own for 5 months, and then the guardian ad litem came over to do a visit, and she knocked on the door, and I couldn't hear her knocking because I was in the back bedroom. We were living in a double-wide mobile home right next door to my dad. My dad was renting me the mobile home. And by the time I had gotten to the door after I heard her knocking, she had already called the police. So the police came over because she thought my kids were home alone. So the police came over to do a check, and they ran my name and took me to jail for an unpaid fine, which was stupid. I mean, my dad could have watched my kids overnight because they were going to release me the next morning because all I had to do is reset my fine payment, right? So they yanked my kids out of my house again, and I had to start all over again. Then I was horseback riding with my friend one day, and I come back from horseback riding, and they said that there was a message for me to get a hold of my family, and I'm gonna cry again. So I get a hold of my sister, and I'm like, so what's going on? She's like, well, Colin recovered just fine. I'm like, recovered from what? And she's like, he had his appendix taken out. His appendix had burst. And I'm like, well, why didn't anyone call me and tell me he was in the hospital? Why didn't anyone tell me? And she's like, Dawn, Kobe didn't make it. And I said, wait, what? She said, Kobe's dead. That was the day before his funeral. There was a huge void in my heart that still can never be filled, you know? So the next day I went to his funeral, and I never expected them to open the casket. And they opened the casket, and that's the last time I remember seeing my son. So I have nightmares. I suffer from PTSD. During these years, I was in and out of trouble, of course, you know, going to jail for shoplifting, going to jail for failure to appear, a lot of failure to appears, driving on suspended. Then I ended up getting my first felony when I was 31, because I was driving a 2006 Yukon Denali in 2006, and it was the first time I ever drove a stolen vehicle. I had the keys to it. And I got surrounded by cops with little red lights all over my head and all over the guy that was with me. And he's telling me to go, and I'm like, nope. And I put it in park, and I got out and gave him a fake ID. And tried to tell him a big old lie, but I ended up getting charged with unlawful use of transportation and got put on probation. My first probation violation, I got 6 months in jail. And my second probation violation, I was in prison. I just got tired of living the lifestyle, living on the run, being in trouble all the time, being in and out of jail, not being able to hold a job. I had to start my own business because nobody wanted to hire me. I just got tired of living that lifestyle. When they put me on probation, they put me in IOP at Unhooked, where I work now. And IOP is Intense Outpatient Programs. And my second group there, I was still high, okay? And then my counselor, Steve, he's like, I have 31 years clean, and if I can't come to this group high, what makes you think you can come to this group high? Got my son back in my life and my mom back in my life. No matter what the foster parents were telling him, how big of a piece of crap I was and I was a drug addict, he had to hear that for 14 years. And then he gets out and he's like, Mom, I love you. And all we could do was wrap around each other's arms and cry. After 14 years of not having him, I get him back in my life, and our bond is stronger than it ever was before. And I talked to my mom. My mom just moved here from Massachusetts, and we're rebuilding our relationship, and she's a big support system to me. Like I had 5 people die in the past 2 months that were pretty close to me. So if I was still out there using, I would have been high. the minute the first one passed away, you know what I mean? A death to me would have been a great excuse to go get high. But now I have a support system, and I have my people that are in sobriety. I have my 12 steps that I can use, and I don't have to get high anymore. Looking into getting my record wiped so I won't have these charges on my record anymore. There is life after addiction. There is. I gave my addiction to God this time. I mean, there's steps, there's a process, but you can do it. If I can do it, anybody can do it.